Thanks for joining me here, just talking about discipleship. Let's start off with this. How would you define discipleship? What is discipleship?
Discipleship for me, I would say, is intentionally pursuing relationship with someone. And the goal is that they would grow into the image of Christ. So when you think about, so the goal is this, is to not make them codependent on me as their mentor, as their discipler, but to make them codependent upon the indwelling spirit of Jesus that lives inside of them, right?
Yeah.
So you think about the spirit of Jesus, and I like to think, hey, Jesus had 1,000 little thought patterns in his heart, how he reacted to things, how he reacted to seeing sickness, how he reacted to when someone hit him, when the external environment around him was chaotic, how did he respond?
Yeah.
And so the goal for me is to walk them through a process whereby they connect with the spirit of Jesus inside of them, and they learn to take on his thought patterns.
Wow.
And so if they learn to think like Jesus, then they have the inner world of Jesus. So peace, joy, kindness, goodness, patience, holiness, right? And if they have the inner world of Jesus, they learn to live like Jesus. So the behavior is transformed. And so again, it's much more about being spirit-led and much more about connecting them to Jesus, as opposed to making them codependent on my wisdom, on who I am. It's actually Jesus.
Wow. So you're leading them to Jesus, and then making them be dependent on him and having him as the source of their life rather than yourself.
Absolutely. And that's the goal. And so, and we model that in different ways, right? So I would say the traditional way of doing discipleship is someone's coming and you're, as a disciple, are trying to get good behavior from somebody.
Right.
And you're kind of going through a process, and this is good. The heart of it's good. But sometimes we can get good behavior and we don't actually get the heart of something, right?
Yeah.
And so it's possible, fully possible, through the force of a personality, or just where guys looking up to you, where they'll want to behave like you, but they won't take on the heart. So the goal is at all times to point them to Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, so some of the ways that I do that is, and this isn't initially you want to be there for them, but eventually, like, you get guys that come to you and they want questions answered. And maybe I even know the answer from my own walk, but I want them to hear it from Jesus themselves.
Yeah.
And so it may be opening up the word and saying, listen, and reading some verses and saying, listen, I want us to close our eyes and I want you to ask Jesus, how does that apply to my life right now?
Yeah.
And so where they're learning to actually hear the Lord's voice for themselves. And so things like that, things that draw them into intimacy with him, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the heart, and that's how you kind of begin to model it differently.